I want to start off by saying that you should not trust my professional or unprofessional, in this case, analysis of Switch sales in terms of making any sort of investments in stock. Remember, what we are about to talk about, this article from Bloomberg that deals with a bunch of industry analysts. These analysts are people who try to analyze how sales trends and all that are going to affect the stock market so they could tell investors the best way to invest their money or when to sell and all of that stuff. But I want to talk about this, especially in wake of the recent video we put out. Put a link down in the description if you want to find out about Switch's holiday sales in the U.S. because it's highly related to this article. Bloomberg has some very interesting things to say. I'm just going to kind of read through this article because I feel like you need the full context to understand what they conclude with. Because they basically act like the Switch is done. That it's just not going to be what it was promised to be at one point, which is essentially being the new Nintendo Wii. So let's just go over this article. It says, with few attractive titles for the holiday shopping season and shipments on track to fall short of the company's targets, doubts are growing whether Nintendo company Switch can become a mass market product. When the device debuted last year as a hybrid console that could be carried around, it was classic Nintendo, a new gadget that broke the norms of conventional video games, equipped with a built-in screen and blah, 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 blah. The goal was to make the gaming experience as seamless as possible, while letting people use the product in new ways, blah, blah, blah. But so far, the Switch has struggled to find customers beyond a core fanbase. The Switch is on track to reach 35 million units shipped by the end of March, according to the average of 8 analyst estimates compiled by Bloomberg, which is short of Nintendo's 38 million, technically 37.8 million, but hey, close enough. After cramming its best franchises, Zelda, Mario, Splatoon, into the first 12 months, the Kyoto-based company was left with fewer games to show off in the second year, hurting hardware sales. Cardboard accessories introduced in April, called Nintendo Labo, have mostly failed to expand interest beyond those that were already planning to pick up a Switch. All great consoles need a great second year, and Nintendo hasn't delivered one for the Switch, says Cornelio Ash, an analyst at William O'Neill & Company in Los Angeles. Investors thought over 5 years they could maybe sell 90 million units, but after this year, that's looking pretty much impossible. Nintendo declined to comment on the forecast or plans for the Switch, and representatives pointed to recent comments by executives saying it's too early to evaluate the performance for the second year and that the company is sticking by its forecast. The holiday quarter historically accounts for about half of the game maker's sales, and analysts have been reducing their full-year estimates for operating profit and revenue since March. Nintendo shares have dropped about 33% since January's peak, wiping out more than $20 billion in market value. They rose less than 1% in early trade in Tokyo Wednesday. The drop was initially driven by short-selling hedge funds, but recent declines have been fueled by existing shareholders, according to data from Market Securities. The stock is heading back to the level when the Switch was announced, which doesn't say great things about its long-term prospects, Ash said. Even so, 20 out of 23 analysts tracked by Bloomberg continue to recommend buying shares. This year's biggest disappointment has been Nintendo Labo, blah, 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 blah. It says 2018 was a reality check and brought lofty expectations back down to earth, says Michael Pachter, an analyst at Wedbush Securities Incorporated. The Switch is great, but it's still primarily a handheld and a very expensive one. That opens the possibility of price cuts. History suggests reductions will have to be aggressive in order to work. Sales of the 3DS picked up only after prices were slashed by 40% 5 months after launch. But the Wii U didn't recover even after Nintendo dropped the price by about 15% within a year after release. I don't see sales growing unless the price is reduced to below $200, Pachter said, indicating a 33% price cut from Switch's current price. While a lower price sticker would help boost Switch's sales, it may further depress the sales of 3DS, etc., etc., etc. Apart from the potential price cuts and new models, the other key to regaining momentum will be new games. Nintendo is planning big releases next year, including new Animal Crossing game, a Pokemon title, and the latest installment of the Metroid series. Fun fact, by the way, the Metroid series is not necessarily slated for 2019, so there's that. They could have mentioned, new Super Mario Bros. U, Deluxe, that could be a big deal next month. But they had to mention a game that isn't actually guaranteed to come next year. Anyways, whether that can be broadened, the install base beyond core gamers remains to be seen. Tellingly, executives have stopped comparing the Switch to the Wii during investor meetings in recent months. If Nintendo posts a weak holiday quarter, or Switch shipments show that it will probably miss the fiscal year target, executives will face tough questions on how they plan to regain lost momentum. That could open up possibilities for changes to the platform next year. And here's the fun quote at the end. The Switch excitement has rapidly declined, Ash said. Unless there's significant change or something else new, the Switch story has been exhausted. Think about what this article is claiming, right? It's funny because the analysts, like most analysts, are saying they still have Nintendo Switch stock listed as buy. So they're not even saying that you shouldn't buy Nintendo Switch stock. Wherever it is now, they think it's going to go up from where it's at. I just think it's funny that this article exists, and there's some graphs, and the graphs are interesting because they obviously show the decline of the sales throughout 2018. But obviously, they weren't working with the known information. We now know, thanks to the PR email that was sent out, that Nintendo Switch just had its best 5-day holiday sales period in the history of Nintendo. Better than the Wii, when the Wii was crushing it back in the day. The best holiday sales for Wii, Switch just topped that. So, that doesn't mean Nintendo's going to hit their projections, by the way. Even if they have a stellar holiday, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to hit their 20 million. But so let's just go on the projections they said, right? They're projecting that by the end of March, the Switch will have sold 35 million units, which, by the way, would mean that it sold more in its second year than in its first year. Now, not significantly more, but it would have sold more. But when you take an average of that, that's 17.5 million units per year. So let's just assume they can maintain 17.5, or at least around there. Some years might be less, some years might be more, but on average maintain 17.5. So they were talking about how their projections, like when they were super high and super positive on Switch and thought it could be, like another Wii, they were saying 90 million units over 5 years. Do you know what 35 million units over 2 years is extrapolated out to 5 full fiscal years? 87.5 million. So you're telling me if Nintendo falls 2.5 million short of their 90 million unit projection, it didn't reach mass market appeal? Is that really the numbers that these people, they're paid to analyze this stuff. This is what they do for a living. And you're telling me that falling 2.5 million short over a 5-year period of the 90 million unit projections that all these analysts had to say that Switch was a mass market device, falling 2.5 million short of 90 means it's no longer a mass market device because of 2.5 million units. That's like saying, man, can you imagine if Nintendo Wii only sold 98 million units instead of 100 million units? Not a mass market device. Like, you know how ridiculous that sounds, right? And that's how ridiculous this sounds to me. Now, I get that sales were slowing down massively in 2018. And obviously, analysts didn't think Pokemon and Smash were going to really do much this holiday and that Switch had no shot. And now that we know that Switch dominated, it's probably going to change their minds around this. Unless something drastically changed, well, something just drastically changed. Switch is dominating, and their 2019 lineup looks fantastic. And it looks like they have a clear path to maintain momentum. I mean, yeah, Smash comes out in December. That's going to help throughout the month of December. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Whether or not you think that's a great game or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's sold well on Wii U. It's probably going to sell even better on Switch. That's releasing in January. We know Animal Crossing is coming. We know Daemon X Machina is coming. We know Pokemon is coming. We know Luigi's Mansion 3 is coming. We know, 18 other games that are coming next year already, and along with 3 or 4 major system sellers. So I honestly don't know what these people are looking at. It's almost like they don't follow Nintendo close enough, even though it's their job to know about what Nintendo is doing more than me. Got to remember, I'm just a gamer, right? I'm just a fan. I'm one of you guys. and I have my biases, of course, and obviously I'm gonna lean towards being a little more on the positive end when it comes towards Nintendo's projections with Switch. But I'm looking at the same data they have. They have more data than I have, to be honest. And 35 million in 2 years, which projects out to 87.5 over 5. That's failing. That's leading to words. That's leading to words like the Switch story has been exhausted. Like it led to them saying, analysts talking about comparing it to Wii has died out in the boardrooms. Why? Is it because Switch just destroyed Wii? Is it because 2 years in, Switch just wrecked Wii? Is that why? Or what? Like, I want to get in the boardroom with one of these guys and say, well, what did you guys think of PlayStation 4 in its second year? Oh, we thought it was killing it. Switch had a better second year. Like, if it hits those projections, Switch over its first 2 years will have sold more units than PlayStation 4. But remember, PlayStation 4 must not be a mass market device, even though it's about to cross 90 million and up to the 100 million mark. Guys, I think what's so frustrating about this isn't that I should care. I don't own any stock in Nintendo, nor do I plan to buy some. But these are people that they are paid to analyze companies like Nintendo and come up with methods to project whether people should buy stock or not. And to be this down on Switch, to be like down in the pits on Switch because maybe they might miss their projection by 3 million units, which, by the way, isn't really that terrible. It's still higher than last year. So Switch shows growth in year 2 from year 1, even if it's just small growth. Bunch of system sellers next year are probably going to show that Switch is going to have even more growth in 2019 than it did in 2018. So you have a system that isn't stagnant, that is showing growth, and it's exhausted? Sales can't get better from here? Here's the thing. I don't know how long Switch's long-term viability is going to be. I don't know that it has a 5-year cycle on the market to truly exist without a new model or a pro model or something. But I do think that these analysts sometimes just don't really know what they're talking about. How could they seriously look at the data and be like, yeah, Switch is going to be exhausted? Like, why? And the funny thing is, 20 of the 23 analysts they talked to, 20 of the 23 suggested people buy Nintendo stock. So clearly, in spite of these numbers, they think the stock is going to go higher. They think Nintendo's going to recover. So what the hell are they doing? Why is Bloomberg choosing like the two negative people in this? This Ash guy that I've never heard of, but that's not a surprise. You don't always hear about the analyst. And Michael Pachter. Why are they choosing the two negative people here to quote in here and ignoring the fact that so many of them are basically saying, hey, look, Nintendo's going to do better? I don't get it. No. If they were looking towards Switch to mimic Wii and DS, I would understand that. Because Switch was not going to sell 250 million units to basically be a DS and Wii at the same time. That was never going to happen. But Switch's current pace, based on their projections, which apparently might be underselling because they didn't think it was going to do well this holiday, 87.5 million over 5. I don't know. Can they do basic math? I don't even know. Anyways, I'm so baffled by this, and it brings us negative attention that isn't warranted even by their own numbers. Their own numbers don't really speak the tale they're telling. And that's what I find so weird about it. These are people that are paid for a living to analyze these numbers, and the figures they come up with to try to debunk things are so funky. Yeah, even if Switch falls 3 million short of that 20 million they projected, it's still more than they sold last fiscal year. It still puts them on pace for 87.5 million units. I don't know, folks. You guys let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. It's just incredibly frustrating for me reading this. I'm sure it was frustrating for you to hear about it, and frustrating in the second half here when I finally broke down their own numbers and how ridiculous it sounds. They're saying I'm not a professional analyst. Do not take my word on whether you should buy Nintendo stock or sell Nintendo stock, even though 20 or 23 analysts say you should buy Nintendo stock right now. Don't take my words on this stuff. Go read the article for yourself. Get the full context. Look at the graphs. I just want to hear your thoughts, I guess. Down in the description, we have a Gleam.io link for a Nintendo Switch Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Bundle giveaway we're doing. It is a 50,000 subscriber giveaway, so for those that get confused, when we hit 50,000 subscribers on this channel, we will be drawing a winner. That being said, I'm Nathaniel Rovajance from Nintendo Prime. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe for more content, hit that bell icon to get notifications, and I will catch all of you guys in the next one.